Other interesting business news, you have Ben & Jerry's CEO ousted for activism, which is kind of weird because, I mean, when I think of Ben & Jerry's, that's the first thing I think of is activism, mostly mentally vacuous, as well as making overpriced crappy ice cream for rich people with too much money. Because again, it is so expensive. I've never bought Ben & Jerry's in my life, even in the rare instances in which I was part of a committed relationship. I drew the line. I've also never bought napkins. I think they're just overpriced paper towels, which are really just overpriced old t-shirts. But let me know. I don't think guys buy Ben & Jerry's, but nevertheless, this comes with thanks to Parthika Prakashi, who's a writer at Fortune, in which she says, quote, Unilever hit new levels of oppressiveness. Ben & Jerry's claims its CEO was sacked over social activism. Here you see one of the Ben & Jerry's stores being protested by someone who has never eaten any protein in his life. Where's the bicep dude? I want to say he's for sure a vegan, but come on, do some bicep curls. Dumbbells are so cheap, they're great ROI. Or maybe barbell curls if you feel so inclined. But nevertheless, that's beside the point. I do actually wonder what is this testosterone level of the average man who eats Ben & Jerry's, but again, besides the point. And I say, quote, Ben & Jerry's has filed yet another legal complaint against its parent company, the consumer giant Unilever, which is the most hilarious company because I'll never forget, maybe I'm just bitter from high school. Back in my day, you had this Axe body spray, where in the commercials, if you spray this deodorant body spray onto your body, women, all the ladies, attractive ones, would come around you like they're magnetized towards you. However, when I was at a Walgreens store as a child, I sprayed a little of that Axe body spray on me, and the girl just gave me a funny, weird look and walked away. Very disappointed. That is false advertising. Also hilarious that, again, that's kind of the machismo, men are, more of a male-dominated brand that feminists would say they objectify women. The same parent company also owns Dove, which claims to all women are beautiful, in which they have most of their commercials with morbidly obese women. Though again, my theory is they want women to eat the Unilever branded chocolate and Unilever branded owned ice cream so they get nice and big and fat, and that way they need to buy more soap because they have such preposterous amounts of surface area to cover with the soap. They need to buy more soap, thereby increasing Unilever's total sales. But I partially digress. I always thought it was funny. Hey, Unilever, we're a feminist company. Dove loves women, and they also have Axe. But I partially digress again. That's just my quite literal little soapbox. Now, they say, quote, in the latest complaint filed in New York federal court, Ben & Jerry's alleges that Unilever had threatened staff opposed to, quote, to silence the social mission, which your mission is to sell ice cream, not socialism and social changes. There's also Ben & Jerry's who cried about, Native Americans lost their land and it's so evil. And then someone goes, wait a minute, Ben & Jerry's, your headquarters is also on former, quote unquote, stolen land. And that tribe is actually still around. Are you going to give that headquarters back? And then Ben & Jerry's shut the hell up for a day or two. Just quite satisfying. Now, they say David Stiver, who had been with Ben & Jerry's for 34 years as a tour guide, chief marketing officer, then CEO, the Vermont-based ice cream brand claimed that Steve was not fired for performance reasons, but because he didn't comply with Unilever's standards for not speaking about political issues, which, again, if you're making a mass product, that's pretty good standard. There are instances where it makes sense to be politically bombastic or give your political opinion. Like if you own Fox or CNN or even the Daily Wire, you're a political commentator, that makes sense. But if you make a product that's supposed to be for the masses, in theory, ice cream, one would think you'd, be a little bit more opaque with your opinions. You would just stick to, making overpriced ice cream for, what do they charge, like $10 per pint these days? American, I don't measure things in pints, but nevertheless, they say that, quote, Unilever then informed the independent board that Steve will be replaced as Ben & Jerry's CEO on March 3rd, 2025. The move hindered CEO's duties purposely and undermined, or they claim that, quote, the move hindered the CEO's duties purposely and undermining Ben & Jerry's social mission and brand integrity. Make ice cream, dude. Ben & Jerry's added that Unilever's had done that. The Unilever spokesperson said the company followed due processes in the removal of Ben & Jerry's CEO. They say that regrettably, despite repeated attempts to engage the board and follow the correct processes, we are disappointed that the confidentiality of an employee career conversation had been made public, a spokesperson said. So it appears, again, in politics usually does not pay off for most folks. Again, in some instances, makes sense. That's your job. But yeah, it looks like that was and again, to Unilever's credit, I think this is the right business decision because, again, in theory, they want to sell a product to the masses. They want to sell it to more than just one side of the political aisle or a subsection, depending on what category they're choosing to talk about. So, I'm surprised Ben & Jerry's been political for decades. It looks like, again, Unilever's given them, throughout the years, have given pressures to stop doing that. I mean, it looks like they actually are starting to put that into action. But it's been so many years of activism from Ben & Jerry's. I think it'll take some time for them to get any traction in terms of being recognized as a brand that just makes their core product and doesn't get involved in activism. But Let me know in the comments. Do you think this is the right business decision? Do you think overall they'll increase their sales with everyone? Let me know, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I really appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comments. Great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.